Alrighty, guys, welcome back to the Cuttonwood Sports Podcast. This episode is presented to you by Boston Sports Entertainment Network and brought to you by Pins and Aces. Whether you're looking for high-quality apparel, they have all your golfing needs to look fresh on the greens. Head on over to www.pinsandaces.com and use code word WOOD at checkout and receive 21% off. Today, we have special guest for you guys, Adam Pellerin, who is NESN anchor and the rinkside reporter for the Bruins. Adam, thank you very much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, guys. By the way, smooth beats to kick off the show. I really enjoyed that, to be honest with you. I was vibing. I also got to check out Pins and Aces, man. It sounds like they could help me with my golf game because it does
great stuff. Good stuff.
So
great stuff. So for people that may not know who you are, do you want to just go through how you came to be part of NESN, the rinkside reporter, and how kind of your career started and such?
All right. Well, it all started in a small town in Norton. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not going to go back that far. So I've been at NESN for 13 years. Celebrated my 13th anniversary on November 1st. Before that, I was at Boston 25. I was a news reporter and a weekend news anchor, did some sports too, and then started my career in Portland, Maine as a weekend sports anchor. So my first job, 2004. So 21 years. Yeah, 21 years. So, basically, just to keep this as short and sweet as possible is, I wanted to get into TV. Both my parents were in TV. They were behind the scenes. And so I sort of grew up with it, had an idea I wanted to do it, ended up interning a TV station, enjoyed it, graduated from college, and then decided I wanted to be on air. Was fortunate enough to get the job in Portland, Maine. My goal was always to get back to Boston, ended up doing that. And then eventually I wanted to get back into sports. And so there was an opportunity that presented itself at NESN and started hosting it was back when I got there, it was NESN Daily, then became NESN Sports Today, and then turned it After Hours. So there were a lot of iterations of the show. So I was doing that. And right out of the gates, I got an opportunity to host Red Sox pre and post game. So basically, filling in for TC, doing about 35, 40 games per year, which is what I've done every single year there. And I've done some sideline reporting there for Red Sox too. And then it was 4 years ago, started doing rinkside reporting with the Bruins, traveling with the team, doing all that stuff. And also some pre and post game hosting as well. So, and I hop on a bunch of podcasts now. So I do a little bit of everything. So it's been quite a ride. Been very fortunate, having grown up in Norton, Mass. Rooting for these teams growing up, playing sports, all the way through college, and then the opportunity to work in this industry. It's been a blessing. It's been awesome. So I have to, sometimes everybody has a rough day at work, but I always try to keep things in perspective, take a step back, and I do feel very grateful.
It's awesome.
So you mentioned Portland. It was an early stop for you. Was there something that you learned in Portland that kind of stuck with you ever since?
That's a great question. So I think, when I started in Portland, Maine, obviously I didn't have any on-air experience. Learned from some great people. I actually worked at Fox 20. Well, it was called Fox 25 back in the day. Now it's Boston 25. But I worked there behind the scenes. Learned from some great people. Like David Wade was the anchor there. Maria Stefanos. They were the anchor team there. Butch Stearns was there. He's still there. And so I got to learn, how to report, how to anchor from those people, those individuals. And when I got to Portland, Maine, I worked with Dave Eade, who's a longtime sports director at Channel 13. And I think, getting back to your question, I think what I learned is how to cover things that maybe weren't in my comfort zone. So, I was always a baseball, basketball, football, hockey fan growing up. That's why Maine was great, because I got to cover all those things. I got to cover Boston sports, but I also got to cover local sports, and I got to cover racing, which was not something that I had never really followed before. I'm not a NASCAR fan. I don't follow any of that stuff. And racing is big in Maine. Not only like, people are fan of NASCAR, but there are local tracks. And so we used to do a segment called Monday Thunder, where we would profile a racetrack, a driver, just some sort of feature story. And so I think, I wasn't comfortable at first covering it because I was like, man, I don't even know what questions to ask. I'm not sure. Like, I'm not following like the stand-in. I have no idea. Like, I know some of the big name drivers, but I don't know anything. So I think what I took away from that was, learn how to be a student of, whatever you're doing. And I think that actually served me well when I got to Boston and worked at 25, because I was a general assignment reporter, news reporter. I actually made the transition from sports to news. And as a general assignment reporter, you're covering everything. So like, you don't know what you're covering on a given day. You could walk in, you're covering a house fire, you're covering a convenience store robbery, or you're covering a trial or something like that. So I think that sort of served me well moving forward. And that's why, even to this day, I do a bunch of different things. And, I think I pride myself on trying to be as versatile as possible, being kind of like, a Brock Holt type of NESN, if you will. So that's sort of what I took away from my experience in Portland. One of the things anyway.
Sweet.
So we are, I don't know if I mentioned this when our texts and such, but we are Maine based.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yes.
So Portland is like big to us. And that's
that's awesome. That's awesome. Where are you guys coming from? If you don't mind me asking.
So I currently am in Leamington, which is probably 35 to like the outskirts of Portland.
I'm in Saco, so I'm right off the turnpike.
Nice, man. Nice. I love, by the way, I'm not just saying this because I just found out you guys are coming from Maine. Like I love Portland like so much, like go back like as often as I can. I lived right in like the city, kind of close to the old port. Then I lived in South Portland. And then I kind of lived in Portland, kind of like off Forest Ave, for a while. But I loved, covering the Sea Dogs. When I was there, it was like Papelbon, Leicester, Pedroia came up, Ellsbury came up. Like there was this sort of wave of talent, that was coming up at the time that ended up being great players. And then the Portland Pirates were still there, like playing at the Cumberland County Civic Center. They were the Capitals affiliate when I got up there, and then they became the Ducks affiliate when I was there. Kevin Dineen was the head coach. So, and then obviously all UMaine covering all that stuff. But I really enjoyed my time there. I love it, and loved covering the high school sports. Like, I learned all about Class A, Class B, like all the divisions and stuff. So it was great. Yeah,
Portland and Maine in general really supports their local teams. I see like Sea Dogs, now the Portland Maine Mariners.
Yep.
And now we have the Portland Hearts of Pine Soccer Club. They blew up.
I was just there.
Massive. Yeah, it's awesome. We've loved it. I wasn't a big soccer guy before this year, but I went to one game and I was like, okay, I'm all the way in. This is something.
Yeah. So you guys obviously know that TC is an investor in the team, and so I was texting him because I went to the last home game.
Oh, me too.
Oh, you did? Yeah, it was awesome, right? It was electric.
Yes, exactly. That's the word I always use when people ask. It's electricity. It's like the game is fun, but it's really the people there that make the experience. And we had TC on last week too, and we were talking about that. And they had the watch party for the playoff game. Unfortunately, they lost.
Yeah.
But for a small market, they packed out the State Theater. I was there. It was electric again. I mean, there's probably more people there than maybe Spokane had in their whole crowd. But it was so fun. They know how to put on a show there. Yeah,
and they did a great job with Fitzpatrick Stadium, obviously packing that place out. And that was actually my first live shot. My first appearance on television was we used to do, well, I think they probably still do, like a Friday night football show. It was called Friday Night Under the Lights, and we'd be live at 6 from like our game of the week, and it was Portland Gorham. That was the headline matchup. So I was live at Fitzpatrick Stadium. So it brings back good memories being there.
Cool.
when you were talking about racing that you covered in Maine, was it like Beech Ridge or was it like Oxford?
Yeah, both actually.
Do you know the story about Beech Ridge now?
No, what's going on there now?
Completely leveled.
Scarborough, right? It's in Scarborough.
It's gone.
It was.
They leveled it. Really,
they leveled it. Yeah, it's going to be housing. It's really sad to drive by.
It was such a fun thing growing up to go to on the Friday night derbies or whatever it was. It was just such a cool one-off thing to do every once in a while.
Yeah, I remember Beech Ridge and then Oxford. They would have there would be trail. People would camp out there all summer. Yeah. It was wild.
People love their racing.
They still do it up there. It's crazy. It's it's like a religion.
And they would have
I can get by, but it's crazy.
They still doing the Oxford 250 every year?
I don't pay attention enough.
Yeah, right.
when I drive up there for work and such like that,
in
the summertime, it's always usually campers all packed throughout that strip down there.
Yeah, they would do an Oxford 250, and they would be like a NASCAR driver that would be I think Kyle Busch or Kurt or Kyle, they were there. Obviously Ricky Craven's a Maine racing legend. That's sad about Beech Ridge.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah.
So going back to Portland stuff. I'm a big food guy, and most of our guys that we have on here that are from Maine and such, we usually ask them, did you have a specific place in Portland that was your favorite?
Oh man. Again, I lived there from 2004 to 2007. So it's been a while.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to be honest with you. So I turned 46 on Wednesday. So I was in my, I was 24, mid-20s, single, so I was down in the old port when I had every opportunity. And so the places have changed, so it's not the same, establishments back in the day, but it was a lot of fun. I had a great time. In terms of food, I know that going back, I do the Portland Lobster Company, summertime stuff, doing all that stuff on commercial.
Yeah.
I don't even know what's there, to be honest with you anymore.
There's so many restaurants. I think.
I love Sebago. I love Sebago Brewing Company.
Sebago Brewing is really good.
Yeah. That was
Portland. I'm pretty sure Portland, Maine has the most restaurants per capita or something like that.
Yes.
Square footage or something like that. It's crazy.
Yeah, it is wild. It's such a fun city, man. And again, I graduated from college. I went to school in Boston, and I worked at 25, like I mentioned, for 2 years, and was looking for an on-air job, and was very fortunate to get the Portland, Maine job. But I was thinking oh man, I'm going from living in Boston to Portland. Not really. I had been to Maine once, and it was actually in college so I played at Suffolk University. We made the NCAA regionals, and the regionals were being held at Hadlock. And so I was there for a few days. That was my only experience in Portland. And I was thinking every stereotype about Maine possible. I was getting, you gotta go up to Maine, you're wearing flannels or whatever. And I'm fine. All right, whatever. And then I get there and I'm dude, this is not what this is at all. This is great. My friends would come up and visit. So it was a blast, man. I had so much fun. So much fun. I had my bachelor party up there, for crying out loud. It was
really?
Great. Yeah.
Main staple. Hopefully you've had it. We've had kind of differing opinions. Red hot dogs, red snappers.
The red snappers, dude. I got so I did a show called NESN Clubhouse Kids Show. Yep. And, we did an episode. One of our episodes was at Hadlock, and I bought a Red Snappers T-shirt.
That's awesome.
At the pro shop. I honestly, I don't think I've ever had one.
Oh,
I don't think I've ever had one, man. I can't settle your debate.
You have to. It's so much better, and I can't explain how or why, but it's completely dig it. So I don't remember who we had before that said that it tastes the same. It doesn't. You had it wrong. It's so good. It's so much better. But yeah,
I'll try it. I will try it. You're right. That's ridiculous that I haven't had one. Yes. I got to do that.
That's pretty ridiculous. I I
got the
literally
whoopie pies, when the Sea Dogs are the main whoopie pies. I've had whoopie pie.
Man, I've been craving a good whoopie pie.
And those Sea Dogs, they have so many different nights and
They do.
Promos.
It's crazy promo nights. Thank you.
Yeah, and Slugger is like low key, like probably one of the best mascots in like around.
He is.
Right?
Like,
I think he just inducted him into the Mascot Hall of Fame, I'm pretty sure.
Yep.
Yeah. Like I love Slugger. Like Slugger's been like, the man for years, but like he's really stepped up his game over the last like however many years.
Yeah.
But yeah, Sea Dogs do it right, man. Like that, I love going there. It's such a great time, such a good time.
It's a blast.
You had mentioned the NESN Clubhouse.
Yeah.
What do you think the importance is with having the show or showing interest for kids kind of getting into this kind of field?
Yeah. So NESN Clubhouse started back in like 2015. And you guys know who Gary Streisky is?
Heard the name.
Yeah. Gary Streisky was at NESN for, I want to say like maybe 4 years. Great guy. He's now doing, he's at ESPN. He's been at ESPN for a number of years. Sports Center does like Snapchat, Sports Center Snapchat or whatever. So he was like the initial host, and he had a kid co-host, and so like over time there was sort of a revolving cast of like hosts and stuff, and I got an opportunity to do it for like I think it was like 3 years. And so the idea of the show, obviously to reach a younger audience, to get kids interested in baseball, and learn something along the way. So we sort of incorporated like, we would talk about like, the game itself, and, we'd have like local college baseball and softball teams teach kids how to slide, or, how to do a home, celebrate a home run or whatever, like fun stuff like that. But we would also incorporate like analytics into it. And we would talk like, spin rate and all those different like, tools that, teams use nowadays. And so it was a really cool way to sort of peel back the onion and do it in a way that like resonated with kids. And so now they've sort of branched out. Our show has branched out to the point where it's not just baseball. We do, basically all sports, and it's just a kid co-host, or kid host that does it now. They used to be like, kind of, grown up like me, and then a kid co-host, but now the kids are literally completely running the show. And it's great. And I think it's important, to, try to have something that, kids love sports. If you're a sports fan, you're a sports fan. But I think it's also important to sort of teach kids the game and teach kids that there's more than just like, what you see on TV. There's a lot of work that goes behind the scenes. And so and obviously, it's not just on NESN, but it's posted on like all of our channels, and all of our platforms and things like that. And so, I think it's definitely, and it's good, for kids to watch and say, hey, you know what, like I maybe want to do what, that kid's doing someday, host the show. So that's cool too. Yeah.
Having a kid be the sole like anchor of it is really cool. Yeah. To give kids to be like, oh, that could be me. Like, right? Like that could be me. Super cool.
Yeah, and I feel like, honestly, like compared to like when I was growing up, like, obviously, like everyone's got phones now. Everyone's like, recording stuff. Everybody has the ability to, go on like, and stream live, like use whatever platform you want. And I think that makes, I think kids are more comfortable being in front of the camera. And they're getting more experience earlier than ever before. And so that's, that's a good thing in terms of like, trying to break into the industry. Right.
Yeah. You mentioned you played some sports growing up. Did you have as a fan, do you have a favorite sport that you like to root for, maybe over the other?
They're like my kids, man. I can't be choosing favorites. You know what I mean? I will say, I played football, basketball, and baseball through high school. I played baseball in college, as I mentioned.
Yep.
The only hockey that I ever played was like, pond hockey or street hockey or roller hockey or whatever. So that's the only like sport I didn't play, that I cover now that, I didn't play an organized version of it. So, Naturally I lean towards baseball because, I played that the most. I tried playing professionally, didn't work out. And I think that I sort of gravitate towards that, but bringing it back to when I worked in Maine, man, and got an opportunity to cover, like I mentioned, the Pirates, Maine, but also I don't know if you guys remember, it was the Lewiston Maniacs. They played at the Colisee.
I never saw them, but I only know them because of their wild logo.
Yeah, right. They played the QMJHL, so Quebec Junior Hockey League, and so they're one of the Canadian Hockey League teams. And so what was great about that was you get an opportunity to see some really up and coming. Like I saw Sidney Crosby play back in the day, so that was pretty cool. But yeah, no, I in terms of watching, I think now I gravitate towards baseball and hockey because I'm just I'm in it, man. I am in it. But I do love. I'm going to a Patriots game on Thursday. As a fan, I haven't gone to a Patriots game as a fan since 2016. I've had the good fortune of being able to cover Patriots games quite a bit over the years. But yeah, I think I enjoy the idea of just being a fan too. And so I'm looking forward to that. And I used to be a diehard Celtics fan. I used to really crazy when I was a kid. So yeah, just things change over the years. Whether it be
fandom goes through phases. I've found too.
Yeah, right.
It helps when the team is good and bad. I'm a Giants fan. Could care less right now. It's all the Red Sox and the Celtics right now. But
yeah, no, for sure. I'm excited about this Red Sox offseason for sure, because it's going to be really interesting, to see how things play out with Alex Bregman, see how things, Trevor Story opting in, which is a good thing. The Giolito thing, what are they going to do with the one of their outfielders? Is it going to be Duran, Abreu? Are they going to trade one of those guys? So there's a lot of intrigue.
Do you think? I think it's probably Abreu or Durant. If it's one of the two, do you think it weighs more one way than the other?
Yeah, it's a good question, man. And I've been thinking about it a little bit.
Every day I have a different answer, I feel like.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you could definitely make a case for both. And you could make a case to say that no, you don't trade either of those guys. Maybe you go the free agency route, or maybe you trade from your system, which has been built up over the years. But it might take a regular major leaguer, a Gold Glover in Abreu's case, or an All-Star MVP in Jarren Duran's case to get a deal like that done. If you want to get a Joe Ryan, right, which would be huge. The fact that Tarek Skubel's in the conversation,
I don't even understand how.
I've tried not even to think about him because if I even start to imagine it, I'm gonna start thinking about it more and more.
Right.
So I'm all right, I'll roll myself back here until
I can't see that happening. I can't see the Tigers doing that. That just doesn't make any sense, especially now, right? If you don't think you're gonna be able to retain them, do it at the deadline and get more. Right. But with Abreu, the thing is, you don't want him to be a platoon guy. I'd want, if I want to keep somebody who's going to be a cornerstone, I want him to be able to hit lefties, face lefties. With Duran, he had a down year last year, but he's, and honestly, some of his outfield play probably wasn't, top notch. And a lot of people obviously point to the playoffs, as the latest example. But he is electric, and he is a game changer. So, you got to. So I know it's such a cop out. I don't know. I'm like you, man. I'm talking myself back and forth. I'm not really sure.
I wouldn't say that's a cop out at all. It's such a hard situation to be in right now with the amount of outfielders that we have.
Right.
I fall into the what have you done for me lately not on purpose, but like you said, having the playoffs in the last year Duran had. I think it's souring a lot of people when you don't realize he has the capability of all-star MVP. He's an electric player to watch. Even last year, he had moments. That inside the park home run was awesome. Was the steal a home? Was that last year?
Yes.
Yeah. Not everyone can do that.
No.
No.
He's dynamic. He's athletic.
He's also good for the fan base too. I mean, the fans love him, and he loves the
team
fans
does too.
Yeah, I mean, he's the kind of guy, he's sort of old school in that way, I feel like, where it's kind of like, it's the heart and hustle type of player, that will, plays for the name across, the chest rather than on the back type of guy. He wants to win. The thing that he admits himself is just he puts so much damn pressure on himself, and he'll go into these sort of funks and feel like a lot of it's self-inflicted because it's like, yeah, dude, just take a deep breath. It's a long season, but that's part of the maturation of any player. But for him who wants to win so badly, I feel like that he does that more than most.
Throughout your career at NESN, has there been any moments specifically that you remember and you'll know that you will remember forever?
Yeah, there are a couple for sure. Since we're talking Red Sox, the one that comes to mind is being on the field after Game 6 in 2013. That was pretty incredible. I was at the ballpark for, I didn't travel. But I was at all the home games, and I was at, obviously Game 2 of the ALCS, the Ortiz, and I was sitting in so I was outside. So there's during the playoffs, there's an auxiliary media section in right field. So I was out there for a little bit, and then I was sort of in the ballpark in an office space area watching it on TV, and I was actually with Don Orsillo and Jenny Dell and one of our photogs watching, the Red Sox, lost Game 1 and they were losing in Game 2 and thinking man, is this thing going to end here, in this round? And then we were all there together for the Grand Slam. And we're like, what?
That's a sports moment that, I mean, I'm 27. So at the time I was 15 years old.
Yeah.
It's one of the sports moments that I'll always remember where I was and in hearing it. I listened to it on the radio. I didn't even get to see it.
Yeah.
I just remember how excited, me and my buddy got, and I'll always remember where I was from. So.
Let me tell you a story about listening on the radio. So when I mentioned that I worked at Channel 25 behind the scenes before I got my first on-air job in Portland. And so I had the opportunity to go to New York for Game 6 and Game 7 in 2003. And so my role was a field producer. So I went out with, it was, and I know you guys live in Maine, so you probably aren't familiar with these guys because I work at 25. But I mentioned Butch Stearns earlier and Bob Ward, who's a longtime news reporter at 25, big Red Sox fan. And David Wade was the other one that was there. But anyway, so we're there for Game 6. They come back and they win, right? And that was unbelievable. And so it's all right, here we are, Game 7. Game 7, everybody knows the story, right? You have the lead, and Pedro's dealing, and all of a sudden, crap hits the fan, right? And so with, local news, we had a show to get ready for as soon as the game ends, right? So we had to be outside at the old Yankee Stadium. There was a grass field where all the the news trucks that were covering the game were parked. And so we were out there, and as soon as the game ended, and we'd have to go up live and get ready or whatever. And so I was with Bob Ward, and we were we were the Boston, Fox station, the New York Fox station. We were using their satellite truck, right? The station's share truck. If you go to a city, it's hey, we're in the same family, so you can use their equipment or whatever. So there's a big satellite truck, which I'm sure you guys have seen, and the New York crew had a projector to watch the game on the truck, and it was pretty cool. The only issue with it was that there was a delay.
Oh.
And so we were watching, right? And we come outside, the Red Sox had the lead. We're hearing the crowd. Mm-hmm. And then we're seeing the play, and it was torture. Yeah. It was absolute torture. So Bob and I made an executive decision to get into one of the smaller news, like Ford Explorer, like that we drove from Boston to New York and sit in the car and listen to the game and turn the radio up loud enough so that way we wouldn't hear the crowd before
drown it out.
Yeah. And so that was, that was a good solution, but then it was absolutely like agonizing, to hear how it played out, obviously. And so, and then another quick story, years later, I'm working in local news, and I'm covering a story out in, like, long story short, it was like a murder case, and they found the guy, like, in Western Mass, and it was the murder case happened in like Winchester, Mass, but it was out, like, they found him out in, like, let's say Springfield, past Springfield. So we had to go out, cover the story, did a live shot. This was the night of Game 7 of the 2010 NBA Finals.
Okay.
And so, Celtics had the 3-2 lead going into LA. Game 6, Kendrick Perkins gets hurt. They lose Game 6. Game 7, you do the live shot. We have the radio on, listening to the radio. We get into an area where, like, the radio cuts out. It's like, right? So for, like, 15 minutes, let's call it. And then it comes back on, and it's like the waning seconds of the game. So those are the two moments of having to listen to the radio. Both losses. It was absolutely awful.
Heartbreaking.
Terrible.
It's a lot. I mean, I don't love the Apple TV broadcast, but my favorite part, once I found out I could do it, was get the Red Sox radio broadcast over synced with the Red Sox game. If I could do that, like, I love the NESN announcers, but there's just something different about I grew up, my dad always listened to it on the radio, so it's just a different feeling. And
totally. And then those guys are awesome, like Will, and obviously it's a rotating cast, whether it's Monaco or Lou or Middlebrooks. Lenny DiNardo jumped in this year. Sean McDonough every once in a while. Joe Castiglione, obviously a legend, and it was good to hear him. Occasionally he'd stop by and do games. So, the radio has you're right, it has like a nostalgia to it. Yeah, totally.
I definitely think that nostalgia for me is specifically baseball.
Yeah.
I'll try and listen to Celtics games on the radio, and I have to shut it off. I can't do it.
or football. Yeah. I hear a lot of Patriots games on the radio too, but I don't know, football, I can't. I don't get connected to it on the radio.
Yeah, it's, having again, worked in local news and having to work out, covering stories and driving to places. Like, I did listen to the radio a lot. I had to. Mm-hmm. But back to your point about baseball, I think it's like something about, like, hey, you're outside, summer afternoon, like, radio's on, and you just listen to
every day.
Yeah, it's great background, it's awesome. Yep.
So now you're the rink side for the Bruins.
Mm-hmm.
How far from when you first started doing it till now do you think you've progressed kind of your rink side skills? Because I'm sure it's a different set of skills for doing post game for the Red Sox. So.
Yeah, it is. So I would say I think the role of a rinkside reporter, basically, for those that don't know, is on a game day you go to morning skate, you talk to the coach, talk to the players, and the process is I'll talk to our game producer Brian Cicello, who's been doing it a long time, great guy, and we'll come up with some storylines. So I'll pitch. I'll be like, hey, I got 5-6 things here that we can hit on, and And so we'll go over that, and I'll get that ready, and then I'll also have something to do in the pregame show where I'll, again, storyline, whether it's like, throw in an interview or whatever, and I'll do a bench interview with a player, and that's a lot of fun. So I think just getting used to the sort of routine of it, and also, identifying the right storylines, I think would be interesting. And I think my job is not to analyze the game like Andy Brickley or Billy Jaffe or, although I do, but I'm not going to analyze the power play, or I'm not going to, talk about like defensive zone coverage as part of like my responsibilities. But what I will do is tell the players stories a little bit, talk about like what they have to say about how they, feel like they're doing with special teams or whatever. And I like doing like research and digging up numbers to sort of back it up. Whether it's highlighting a power play or highlighting a David Pastrnak, and he's approaching 400 goal mark, right? And so digging up some numbers, doing that kind of thing. But with the in-game hits, I think what I've learned to do a lot better, more smoothly, is you only have a limited amount of time. So I'll come back. It's not like baseball, where, like in with hockey, it's just like, all right, we come back from break. Welcome back to blah, 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 blah. Here Bruins up 2-1, David Pastrnak, blah, blah, blah. And I try to get like all that information in as before the puck drops. Or if not before, 5 to 10 seconds afterwards. Because if you don't, and there's a goal, it's kind of like, you kind of mess up the call, the play-by-play guy. You don't want to do that. There goes my light. No, that was weird. Anyway, I think you guys can still see me.
Yeah.
I think I've gotten more proficient at that. In baseball, it's like, Jemai does a great job. And I've done that job too, is, you could be talking, and then there's a pitch, and there's no swing, there's no action, and you can just keep going, So I think with that, just sort of understanding, like, all right, man, like keep it concise. And if you have more time, like if you see like there's a whistle for offsides or something, and you're in your hit, like, all right, keep going, I got some more for you. So I think I've learned, more than anything else, the cadence of it.
Sure. Do you have any players that you've kind of been drawn to, maybe that aren't like the bigger names like Pastrnak or?
Yeah. So, I mean, over the years, really like Charlie Coyle, Brandon Carlo, great guys, great team guys, good culture guys. Sad to see them go, but that's the business of it. Yeah. I think, with this year's team, Morgan Geekie, I think is a great guy.
He's been so good this year.
He's been excellent. And he's also just a smart player. And, for someone who does my job, I really appreciate, how thoughtful he is with his answers. And he was, completely, transparent when it came to, when they were in the midst of a 6-game losing streak. I think it was after the Ducks game where they gave up 7 goals, and, they however many in a row that was at that point, that they had lost. I think it was the 6th in a row, actually. Because they ended up bouncing back and beating Colorado on Saturday, I think it was. But anyway, he said, hey, look, we saw what happened last year. If things don't change soon, we know what's going to happen. Right. You don't really hear – that's not a canned answer. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes you'll get that, and I understand it's a long season. The players just trying to, protect themselves, protect the team. They don't want to say anything that's going viral, but for Morgan Geekie in that moment, he was really honest, and that's something that, I don't think was controversial. I think it was just a matter of fact. It's like, look, we suck right now. Like, if we don't get better, things are going to change. We saw it happen last year. There was a coaching change in November, and then at the trade deadline, 5 guys got dealt, so we got to pick it up. And to their credit, just to segue to the Bruins a little bit, they're battling, man. They've battled in every single game this year with the exception of one, and that was in Ottawa, where they got their asses kicked and they lost 7-2, and everybody was like, that is inexcusable. Can't do that. And so I think one thing that I know you asked me about individual players, Morgan Geekie definitely, but I think as a team, as a collective, I think I've really been impressed with their fight early on this year. And hopefully that continues. I don't see any reason why it wouldn't. We were talking about on our podcast today, that's the one thing like that they've had, win or lose so far through 17 games this year, is their compete and their battle. And now that they're starting to sort of understand, their roles, whether it's, their structure in the D zone or their neutral zone coverage or their breakouts, and they're doing it like with some key pieces missing, especially that win over the Leafs in Toronto, without McAvoy, without Lindholm, without Middlestat, like getting that done. That's impressive. So I've enjoyed that. I hope they surprise some people this year. Not only because I cover the team and I'm very close to it, but like you like seeing teams who maybe an underdog, just in lack of a better term, break through, and you like to see them do it the right way. And I think this team is starting to do it the right way.
I don't want to take too much more of your time up, but what do you think is a longer day, a Red Sox sideline reporter or a rinkside Bruins reporter?
Well, I would say that for me personally, it's rinkside, because I mentioned the morning skate, right? So there's a morning skate at 10:30. I live an hour with no traffic away from Warrior Ice Arena. So on a home game, for instance, I'm going in at, for the morning skate at 10:30, and I got to leave because it's like drive time,
Sure.
Pretty early. And then after that, I'm not going home. So I'll get a quick workout in, and then I'll get my stuff together for the night. You can go to the rink, the Garden, at like 4:00, and I won't get out of there until after all the media availability is over with. So it's like, you're looking at like from the moment I step my foot in the door at Warrior to the moment I leave TD Garden, like 12, 13 hours.
Got more than 12 hours,
Yeah. So with baseball, so with baseball, you get to the ballpark around 2, and you work the game. And again, that can be a long day too. There's no clock in baseball, right? So that can be a long day. But the difference is like, baseball is every day. Hockey is every day, but it's not a game every day. So there's practice, but it's not a game day, so it's different.
Cool. Well, Adam, thank you very much for taking the time to talk with us today. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me, guy. I love talking to Maine guys. That was great.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, I enjoyed it, guys. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.